All right, guys, for this week's 10 marks, I know we've been dividing in class. Both of these are going to be multiplying this week, so it's a little bit of a review for you so you don't forget how to do it. The first one is called multiply a mixed number by a fraction or a mixed number. So some of them are just simple level 1 questions. Multiply 1 3/4 times 2 sevenths. Don't forget, all you have to do is decide how many groups of 4 do I have. So to do this here, all I'm going to do is multiply 4 times 1, that gives me 4/4, plus these 3 right here. So that's going to give me 7/4 over here times 2 sevenths. And then all I have to do is multiply across, which gives me 14/28. All right, that might be an answer, or you might need to reduce it. So you have to understand that does reduce to a half. So if I look back and see 14/28 or 1/2, sure enough, there's 1/2, so I'm in good shape. There's another example of the same thing. All right, here we talk about area models. Some of you like these, some of you don't. You do have to understand them, even if you don't want to choose to do this math. All it means is I can take my whole number and split it up from my fraction, and then I can take my whole number and split it up. And now all I got to do is multiply in the boxes. So for here, it says, which expression shows how to multiply these two numbers using partial products? We're just going to label with these things down here. So we're just going to just look where they intersect. 2 times 1, so I'm just going to put that there. For this box here, I'm going to take 4/5 times 1, put that there. For this box here, it's 2 times 1/3. In this box here, it's where 1/3 meets 4/5. All right, so that's all you have to do for that. You don't even have to add them up. All right, if there is a part 2 where you have to do that at some point, you can, but I don't think there is this week. So those are pretty simple. Even if you don't like them, we do have to understand them. Same thing there. We've already seen one like that. All right, for here, we're just going to have to make sure that we choose all of the options that are equivalent. Right, so we're dealing with 1 1/4 times 2 2/5. So 1 1/4, remember the same thing here. We just want to do 4 times 1 plus our 1, that gives us 5/4 here, times 10. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11/5 here. So there's one thing right there. It converts to 5/4 and 11/5. Is there anything here that has that? 5/4 times, oops, I'm sorry, that's 12/5. I might have read the number wrong. It's 2 2/5. Yeah, so let's just fix that real quick. So that's 2/5, which would make that 12. So 5/4 and 12/5. Sure enough, there's that. Now, that's not good, so one of these must be the answer. Well, if I multiply across 5 times 12, that does equal 60/20. And that reduces, it changes down to 3, but none of that is an option. It's just 60/20. So be careful with those. Just look for all the different options that might have to go in there. In fact, I'm going to skip and look at another one real quick, just like that. This one here, see how there's different choices? I still want to do 1 1/3 times 2 1/6. So that there, that gives me 4/3. And that's times 6 times 2 plus 1 is 13/6. So I got 4/3 and 13/6. So here we go there. Then I want to see what that answer is. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 times 13 to get the top number. And that's going to give us 52. And the bottom number is 3 times 6 is 18. 52/18, is that an option? Sure enough, there it is. Does that equal 2 1/8? When I take 52 and I divide it by 18, 52 divided by 18, that gives me 2. That gives me 36. And when I subtract that, I'm going to get 16/18. 2 and 16/18. Anything equivalent to that? No. So now we're talking about distributive property. That's another choice here. And remember, distributive property just means I take the 1 times 2 plus 1 times a sixth plus 1/3 times 2 plus 1/3 times a sixth. It's got to be each part. So make sure you're looking for the distributive property correctly. These two do not display that. All right, I skipped this one. We've seen models like this quite a bit, but this one has mixed numbers now. So it's 1/5 times 1 1/4. So here's one whole thing and also fourths. So we've got 1 and 1/4 represented in the orange times a fifth. Well, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sure enough, those are fifths, and there's one of them. This is the right answer right here. It's got one whole and a fourth intersecting with 1/5, which equals 5 of the 20 total parts. This one is close. It's 1 1/4 times 2/5. This one is not good because this one right here is actually 1 1/5 times fourth. So those are backwards right there. So be careful with those as you look through them. There's another one like that. So that's all for the first one. The second one this week is called area of rectangles with fractional side lengths. Pretty simple because if we go back and think about what is area, area is simply length times width. So all I got to do for one like this is literally take my length times my width. 3/4 times 5/6. All right, so when I go to do that, I just multiply across the top, and that's going to give me 15 over 24. Okay, and I can just put 15/24. Now that reduces. All right, you can go. That's 5/8 right there. So I would type 5/8 in the box. That's all you have to do. Just length times width. So if you see one like that, one like this, just read the top. A rectangular pencil case has a length of 3/4 foot and a width of 1/7 foot. Select the statement that's true. So you do the area by adding. We know that's not true. 3/4 times 1/7. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 3/4 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A 6. That's not good. The area is 4/11. Well, 3 times 1 is 3, and 4 times 7 is 28. So that's not good. The area of the pencil case is less than a foot. That is true because a fraction times a fraction gives us a smaller number. So just read each statement very carefully and decide which one is the best for you. Here's another one here that looks complicated, but it's literally just you take the length times the width, and they ask you to think about the answer. The area is going to be between 0 and 4, 1 1/4 and a half, and 1/2 and 3/4. Well, I look at this and think, I'm not really sure, but that's almost 1 and that's almost 1. So my answer's got to be pretty close to 1. So my first thought is that's bad and that's bad, and it's probably close to that or maybe even that. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's this one. So if I do the math, 9/10 times 14/15, I did it ahead of time. That's 126 150ths. That's 21 25ths. So I went back and proved it, that I knew common sense says benchmark. That's almost 1 times almost 1. So that's close to 1. So I think it's this. And then sure enough, I do the math, and it is. All right. So just on those, you don't have to actually find the area, but it does help. All right. Once again, you're just finding the area. 1/6 times 1/7 is 1/42. That's pretty easy. Another thing here, just read what's the truth about something 7/8 times a fifth. Is this true? Is this true? Is this true? Or is this true? Notice it's a circle, so there's only one right answer. Finding the area again, pretty simple. Here's another one where you talk about where does the answer lie. All right, 2/3 times 2/3 is actually 2/3. So it's already more than a half. So that's a bad answer and that's a bad answer. So you've got to decide between this one and this one. Now, since I know 2/3 is 67% and 3/4 is 75%, I know this is smaller than 3/4 but bigger than a half. So my answer is going to be that, right? So kind of a little bit of common sense, but also a little bit of math involved. Here's another one. The model is shown. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 4/5 and I have 1/3. So I've got a model that shows me 4/5 times 1/3. Now I've got to decide if these are yes or no statements about where 4/5 and 1/3 intersects. So the rectangular measures 4/5 long and 1/2 wide. I'm going to decide yes or no. It's 1/3 long and 4/5 wide. Yes or no. Basically, I'm going to read and find the ones that match the length and width of this. Okay? And I think that's all of them for this week. Yep, that's all of them. So good luck this week. There's 2 of them on multiplying fractions. You should do well. Come see me if you need any help after you've tried all the videos.